What's up guys, welcome to a Redstone video. And this is going to be for a Redstone 3 high portcullis or like castle gate. You can see it in front. You can open it. Weird. Okay, that was laggy. Let's try that again. You can see how it closes. And it opens. Of course, it takes a while, but that's a limitation of how the parts of it work. And one thing to note is that while it doesn't use sand or gravel, it's not completely flush. So there's a line of observers in the floor here, and if you don't like that look, then this won't work for you, and probably gonna have to try sand or gravel. So let's first talk about how I came up with this design, or what inspired me to build this. Inspired is a strong word. What made me think of trying to build something like this? I saw Fwip building in a video a portcullis gate, a gate for one of his builds, and I thought it would be very cool to make that into redstone. So I looked up redstone tutorials for something like that on YouTube, and I found somebody who'd made a 2 high gate that was completely flush, but didn't have, but was only 2 high. And I thought, well, if it's only 2 high, you can barely fit anything through it. So I wanted to make a 3 high gate, and that's what I did. So let's take a look at the agenda. So first we're going to, right, that's the origin of design. Let's talk about some of the components. First of all, in order to make it 3 high, we need to push up 3 blocks and then push back down 3 blocks. So what I did was I looked around and I found triple piston extenders for the vertical direction. So this one goes up. And it comes back down when you pulse it again. And this is why there's observers in the floor. This block would be the floor, but unfortunately we can't change it so that there's no observers. So that's the observer line you see, and it's 1 wide, so it's tileable. So it's just this design tiled over and over underneath here. For the downwards triple piston extender, this is Methods design for a triple piston extender. If we just quickly get rid of that, we can see it from the side. It looks like this. There's observers, and there's just 3 pistons like that. And if we grab a button, okay, so that is the downward position, and if we pulse it again, it goes back up. So there was the designs for the triple piston extenders, and that's just what I used. I tiled them, and that was how I wanted to make it work. So let's get on to some of the troubleshooting I did and how I fixed some things that made it actually work for me. Originally, I was trying to see with this whole contraption over here if we could activate it without a button, because in Method's video he just uses a button and that works for him, because if you just need one or multiple in a row that you want to activate individually, you need buttons. But I want to activate them all at the same time, so I want to use something that can update this observer and also power this rail to update this observer. And I thought I have to use a redstone block for that, because if you put a block with redstone dust on top of it, it will power this rail, but it won't update this observer. So I wanted to just push in a redstone block and see if that would work. And this is just a contraption I designed to just see if one button pulse would work, and it doesn't work for some reason. If you do this, it always just ends up in a broken state and it never extends 3 blocks. So why would that be? Theoretically, if you had a button and you made it send a redstone output to a piston, the piston should be extended for as long as the button is providing redstone output. But it doesn't, and we can see that Method's design here is made to have pretty precise timings, and because I don't know how it works and I don't know what these delays are for, I chose not to bother with modifying his design, and instead I thought I could solve this problem somehow. So to solve this problem, you have to understand how pistons work. And I just set this up to demonstrate how pistons work. This redstone line directly connects to the light, the note blocks. This one pushes a piston to connect to the light and the note block first. So what we can see is actually in these first two, I believe this one activates first, and then this one activates. So there's an equal amount of delay on both paths. Well, there should be an equal amount of delay on both paths because they're both powered by the same button. But actually, pistons have, in their functionality, they take 1 tick to extend and 0 ticks to retract. So we can see that actually this side has one slightly more delay than that one, and so the note block activates later. But because it retracts on 0 ticks, that powers both of these at the same time. So both of these note blocks go off at the same time. Alright, so knowing that, what we need to do is just, because the pulse is too short, because we're missing 1 tick, one of the piston pushing the redstone block into this spot takes 1 tick out of it. So what we need to do is just make a pulse extender. So we don't need a pulse extender like this because that's too long, and that would make it just make it very slow. So what we want is something that can just add maybe 1 tick or however many ticks we want. We can just use a repeater, something that doesn't feed it into itself so it won't make a clock. In some case, we just put another repeater here. And then we'll see that that one stays on for longer because we've extended it with 2 repeaters like that. So up here the design is simply we take 1 repeater, 2 repeaters. They don't make a clock, and they just power a piston to push a redstone block down there, and that's enough delay, and the triple piston extender works by pushing redstone blocks down. So we can see that, yeah, that's how this works, and I just rebuilt the same thing up here without, while trying to keep it as small as possible so it doesn't go up, because ideally you'd be building this as some sort of castle gate. So you don't need the redstone, you don't need anything on top of here. These can be solid blocks. Maybe you can put solid blocks out front or something. But this circuit can be moved down. The way I put the signal up, that's how it worked out. So that's basically how it works. There's a triple piston extender that pushes blocks down and a triple piston extender that pushes blocks up. And that means the gate can be made out of any block that can be pushed, or that doesn't affect blocks around it. So you can't use, say, slime blocks. Options are fixed. Oh, one other thing is you could probably get away with using slime blocks to push down this row and only have one piston, but that would limit how wide your portcullis can be, and it might get stuck to something else, so that wouldn't be as easy to work with. There's not much else I wanted to cover. Basically, you find some way to transfer this signal up to the top to activate it, and maybe if you were doing a build you wanted to put this in, you'd have the button at the top anyways, and then the circuit would be at the top, and this redstone would all be underground, so this doesn't matter anyways. So yeah, that was my redstone portcullis design idea. Most of the designs I saw were using sand or gravel, and I thought that this was an interesting way of making a new design. And I think personally, with the new blocks like the spruce trapdoors, it looks really nice. Yeah, that's it for me. I will see you guys later.